This is the ultimate guide to starting your own property management business on Airbnb. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build a successful co-hosting business from scratch, even if you've never managed a property before. I've used these exact strategies to build a six-figure property management business, and by the end of this video, you'll have a complete blueprint to do the exact same. But before we dive in, here's something crazy. 90% of people who try to start a co-hosting business make one massive mistake that kills their chance of success before they even get started. I'll reveal what that mistake is in just a few minutes, but first, let's talk about what co-hosting actually is and why it might be the perfect business opportunity for you. Co-hosting is basically property management for Airbnb listings. As a co-host, you're responsible for managing someone else's property on their behalf. Now, there's something really special about this business model, and it's the reason I recommend it to anyone looking to get started in the short-term rental space. See, most people think that they need hundreds of thousands of dollars to get started with Airbnb. They think they need to buy properties, furnish them, take on all that risk. But here's the thing. With co-hosting, you can start making money in the short-term rental space with virtually no upfront investment. You're basically leveraging other people's properties to build your business. And the best part, property owners are desperate right now for good managers. I talk to hosts every single day who are looking for someone reliable to manage their properties. They're willing to pay good money too, typically between 20 to 30% of the monthly revenue. So if you're managing a property that makes $5,000 per month, you could be earning between $1,000 and $1,500 from just one property. Now imagine scaling that to 5 or 10 or even 20 properties. The potential here is insane, but you've got to do it right. So let's talk about the different types of co-hosting arrangements that you might consider. There are two main models. First, you've got full service management. This is where you handle everything: guest communication, cleaning coordination, maintenance, pricing, the works. Then you've got partial management, where you might only handle specific aspects like guest communication or listing optimization. I always recommend starting with full service management, and I'll tell you why in just a sec. But first, if you're enjoying this content and want to learn more about building a successful Airbnb business, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so why full service management? Simple. It gives you the most control and the highest earning potential. See, when you're handling everything, you can charge premium rates, typically 20 to 30% of the monthly revenue. Plus, you have complete control over the guest experience, which means you can maintain higher standards and get better reviews. This leads to more bookings, higher rates, and ultimately more money for both you and the property owner. Now, remember that massive mistake I mentioned earlier that kills 90% of co-hosting businesses when they're starting out? It's trying to compete on price. I see this all the time. New co-hosts think that they need to charge super low rates to get their first few clients. But here's what actually happens. They end up with demanding owners who want premium services at budget prices. These owners micromanage everything you do, question every decision, and ultimately they make your life miserable. Even worse, the low rates mean that you can't afford to provide good service, which leads to bad reviews, unhappy guests, and a business that's impossible to scale. So with that in mind, let's get into the exact steps you need to take to launch your co-hosting business the right way. Here's the step-by-step launch plan. First thing you need to do is do market research, and there's a specific way to do this. Start by looking at your local market. You want to find areas where there are lots of short-term rentals, high occupancy rates, strong average nightly rates, and most importantly, individual property owners, not a lot of big management companies. These are the perfect conditions for a co-hosting business. I'll show you exactly how to find this data in just a minute, but first, you need to understand what makes a good target property owner. The ideal client for your co-hosting business is going to be someone who owns 1 to 3 properties, is too busy to manage them effectively, values quality over cutting corners, and has properties that generate at least $4,000 in monthly revenue. Why these criteria? Because these owners have enough properties to make it worth your while, but not so many that they'll try to squeeze you on pricing. Plus, they're usually professionals who understand the value of good management. Now, here's where most people go wrong with their research. They focus on the wrong numbers. They look at things like average daily rates or total number of listings in an area, but what you really need to know is how many ideal owners are in your market. What are their biggest challenges and pain points, and how well are their listings optimized? because these are the things that tell you if there's opportunity in your market. If you see lots of poorly optimized listings with bad photos and low occupancy rates, that's actually good news. It means there are owners who need help and you can provide immediate value by improving their listings. Now, if you want a step-by-step guide on how to do this research properly, including the exact tools and metrics I use, you'll find all that inside B&B Tribe. I'll leave a link in the description right down below. Once you've identified your market, it's time to set up your business properly. This is super important. You want to look professional right from day one. You'll need a basic website, sales collateral to show to prospective clients, a business bank account, professional contracts. And speaking of contracts, this is actually another place where people mess up quite often. Your management agreement needs to cover everything, including exact services provided, payment terms, cancellation policies, damage policies, and about 20 other things that most people forget. I've seen so many co-hosts get burned because their contract had holes in it. That's why we include our complete contract template inside of B&B Tribe. It's the exact same one that I've used to manage hundreds of properties without any issues. Now, next up is creating your service offering. And this is where you can really set yourself apart. Now, I'm going to share something that took me years to figure out. The key to a successful service offering is not offering more services. It's offering the right services and doing them extremely well. Here's what your core service offering should include: guest communication for inquiries and guest support, check-in and check-out management, cleaning coordination, basic maintenance coordination, pricing optimization, monthly reporting. Notice what's not on that list: deep cleaning, interior design, professional photography, concierge services. Why? Because these should be additional services that you can upsell later. When it comes to pricing your services, here's the formula I use. For properties generating less than $5,000 per month, charge 30%. For properties generating between $5,000 and $10,000 a month, charge 25%. For properties over $10,000 a month, you can go down as low as 20%. But here's the trick: never start with a rate below 20%. Trust me on this one, I learned it the hard way. If you start too low, you'll never be able to raise your rates enough to make the business profitable. Now, let's talk about the fun part next: getting your first clients. And I'm gonna tell you something that might surprise you. The best place to find your first client isn't online. I know, everyone tells you to go on Facebook or join local real estate groups, but here's what actually works. First, check to see if your target market requires permitting for short-term rentals. If it does, find the city or county's public database that contains all the permit details. You see where I'm heading? You can actually search through all of this and find the addresses of all your ideal clients. Then you can check public property records to find the owner's contact details. Then send them a letter. Yes, an actual physical letter. But here's the key: your letter needs to do 3 things: identify a specific problem with their listing, explain how you can fix it, and prove that you know what you're talking about. For example, something like, "Dear property owner, I noticed your beautiful property on Maple Street has an occupancy rate of 62%, while similar properties in the area are achieving 85%. I've analyzed your listing and identified 3 specific changes that could increase your monthly revenue by at least 20%. I'd love to share these insights with you completely free of charge." See what we did there? We're not just offering our services and pitching, we're demonstrating value up front. Now, some of you are probably wondering, well, James, how do I know their occupancy rate? Well, that's where having the right tools comes in. Inside B&B Tribe, we show you tools that can tell you exactly what the occupancy rates are, exactly what average nightly rates are, total revenue estimates, and a bunch of other crucial data. But even if you don't have access to these tools yet, you can still look at their calendar and estimate their occupancy rate. The point is, you need to show property owners that you can help them, not just work for them. And by the way, if you're in an area where this data isn't publicly accessible, no stress. You can also adopt a similar approach by simply scouring sites like VRBO and messaging hosts directly through the platform. It's a little less reliable and there are some specific steps you need to follow, but if done correctly, this can be highly effective as well. Now, when you reach out to owners, you'll likely hear some common objections. I can manage it myself. I already have a manager. Your rates are too high. I'm not making enough to justify a manager. Here's how to handle each one. When an owner says, "I can manage it myself," here's what you say: you absolutely can. But the question isn't whether you can manage it yourself, It's whether you should be managing it yourself. Let me show you what your time is actually worth. Then you can break down all the hours they spend on things like answering guest messages, probably 5 hours a week, coordinating cleaners, 3 hours a week, handling maintenance, 2 hours per week, managing pricing, another 2 hours a week. That right there is 12 hours per week at a minimum, more or less. So if they're a professional making even $50 per hour, that's now $600 of their time every single week. Meanwhile, your management fee might only be $600 per month. See how that shifts the conversation? Now, how about when they say, I already have a manager? Here's my favorite response. Great. Well, would you mind telling me what you love about their service? I always like to learn from successful managers. This does two things. Shows you you're a professional and that you're confident, and it also usually leads to them telling you what they don't like about their current manager. For your rates are too high. I always say, I totally understand that concern, but let me show you the math. Then I walk them through how I'll increase their revenue by optimizing their pricing, typically 10 to 15% increase, improving their occupancy, another 10 to 20%, getting better reviews, which leads to higher nightly rates. The key here is showing them that you're not a cost, you're an investment. Now, once you've actually landed a client, this next part is crucial. This is where a lot of co-hosts drop the ball. It's the property onboarding process. You need a system for this. If you just wing it, you'll miss important details that'll come back to hurt you later on. Here's the exact process that I use. First, do a complete property evaluation. Take detailed photos of everything. Test all the appliances, check all the locks and entry systems, inspect for maintenance issues throughout the property, document all of the amenities, and then create what I call a property Bible. This is going to include all the access codes, Wi-Fi passwords, emergency contacts, vendor lists, house rules, special instructions, everything. So this becomes your go-to resource for everything about the property. But here's where it gets interesting. You also need to do a complete listing audit. Review all the photos on the Airbnb listing, check the description, verify the amenities, look at the pricing history, analyze your guest reviews. Because here's the thing, most owners don't even realize how much money they're leaving on the table with poorly optimized listings. Now, once you've got all this information, it's time to optimize and either take over or relaunch the listing. Which direction you go will depend on just how badly the listing has been performing in the past. If you're going to take over the existing listing, then you'll want to be sure you optimize it fully right out of the gate. Let me show you exactly how to relaunch a listing for maximum impact in case you go that route. The goal here is to get a bunch of bookings right away, which builds momentum on Airbnb's algorithm. Here's my exact process. First, you've got the listing title. This needs to hit 3 main points. First, the main attraction or unique feature. Next, the best amenity. And 3, the target guest type. So an example of this would be 5 minutes to downtown, luxury condo with pool, perfect for business. Next, you're going to completely rewrite the description following this format. Start with an attention grabbing opening, then a quick highlight reel, then room by room breakdowns. Keep bullet points for this, not long paragraphs. You also want to highlight the location benefits. But here's the secret that most people miss. You need to rewrite everything in your target guest language. If you're targeting business travelers, talk about the workspace and the fast Wi-Fi. If you're targeting families, highlight the kid-friendly features. For the photos, here's what most people get wrong. They just dump all the photos in random order. Instead, do this. First 5 photos should be your best amenities. Then a logical walkthrough of the space. Include some lifestyle shots that help guests imagine their stay, and then end with location shots. Now, for pricing strategy during launch, here's what works best. Start with rates about 15 to 20% below market for the first 2 weeks. This does 2 things. It gets you immediate bookings and it helps you get your first few reviews quickly. But here's the key. Tell the owners that you're doing this strategically. Explain that it's a temporary strategy to build momentum, not a long-term pricing approach. Once you've got the listing set up, it's time to talk about day-to-day operations. This is where your systems will make or break your business. You need 3 key systems to be successful. First, your guest communication system. I recommend using automations and an AI tool for this. It'll save you hours every single day. Set up templates for booking confirmation, check-in instructions, mid-stay checkups, checkout reminders, and review requests. AI tools like Bestie AI can handle almost all of the rest. Second, your cleaning management system. Here's what I've found works best. Use a cleaning checklist with photos of each room. Have a backup cleaning team on deck ready to go. Set up automatic scheduling and do random quality checks. Third, your maintenance system. Create a network of reliable vendors for things like plumbing, electrical, HVAC, general repairs, and lawn care. Pro tip, always have at least 2 vendors for each service. Now, this might seem like a lot to manage, but here's the good news. Inside B&B Tribe, we've got templates and automation tools for all of this stuff. We've literally got everything you need to set up your systems, automate your communications, manage your teams, track your performance. Plus, you'll get access to our community of successful hosts and co-hosts who can share their experiences and answer all of your questions as you go. If you want to check it out, just click the link in the description down below. Now let's talk about how to optimize your property's performance. This is where you're really going to earn your management fee by maximizing the property's revenue. Let me show you the exact process I use to increase revenue by 20 to 30% on almost every property I take over. First up is occupancy optimization. Most hosts just focus on getting a high nightly rate, but that's actually the wrong approach. Instead, focus on your RevPAN, your revenue per available night. Here's what I mean. Let's say you've got 2 scenarios, 10 nights booked at $300 per night or 15 nights booked at $250 per night. The first scenario gets you $3,000. The second gets you $3,750. Lower nightly rate, but more total revenue. This is why you need a proper pricing strategy. And here's exactly how to do it. First, map out your market's seasons. High season, shoulder season, low season, and any special events throughout the year. Then set your base rates for each season. But here's where it gets really interesting. You need to adjust these rates based on the day of the week, local events that are happening, your booking window, the average length of stay. Now, most hosts try to do this manually, but that's actually a recipe for disaster. You need dynamic pricing software that can make these adjustments automatically. And the tool I use for this is a tool called Price Labs. I'll have another video coming out soon that breaks down exactly how to use Price Labs and why I prefer it over other tools. So if you want to check that out, then be sure to subscribe. But if you want to get your hands on that right away, we've actually got a full detailed training on all that already live over in B&B Tribe. Next up is review optimization. Here's something crazy. Properties with an average rating above 4.8 stars can charge up to 25% more than properties with 4.5 stars. So how do you get those high ratings consistently? It all comes down to setting the right expectations. Here's how to do that. Number 1, over communicate before check-in. Number 2, provide detailed house instructions for any questions that a guest might have. Number 3, address any issues immediately right when they come up. Number 4, send checkout reminders that let guests know exactly what to do. But there's one secret weapon that almost no hosts use. It's the mid-stay message. Here's what you need to send. Hey, guest name, just checking in to make sure everything is perfect with your stay. Is there anything you need? This does 3 things. Number 1, it shows you care about their experience. Number 2, it catches any issues before they become bigger problems. And number 3, it almost always prevents bad reviews. Now, let's talk about listing optimization next. Your listing needs to be updated at least once per quarter. Here's your optimization checklist. Number 1, update your photos based on the season. Second, refresh the amenities list based on guest feedback and anything you need to add. Number 3, update the location highlights. Number 4, modify your pricing strategies. And then number 5, it's also important to regularly scan through your reviews to see where you can improve as a host. Reviews are often a gold mine of opportunities for you to improve either the listing, the property, or your processes. But the real secret to optimization is data analysis. You need to track your average listing views, your number of first page search impressions, your inquiry to booking ratio, because all this data tells you exactly what to fix and what's working well. The tool that I use for this is called IntelliHost. It tracks everything so you can accurately measure and improve your performance over time. Now, speaking of improvements, next let's talk about how to make even more money with your co-hosting business. See, once you've got your basic management services dialed in, you can start offering premium services that dramatically increase your profits. Here's what's working really well right now. Property setup services, because most property owners have no idea how to properly set up a short-term rental. You can charge between $1,500 and $3,000 for a complete setup package that includes full property optimization, professional photography coordination, interior design consultation, welcome book creation, and supply sourcing. The best part? You can outsource most of this work while keeping a healthy profit margin for yourself. Another gold mine is maintenance coordination. Here's the thing, properties always need maintenance. Instead of just coordinating it, create a maintenance package with quarterly deep cleans, annual HVAC servicing, regular pest control, preventative maintenance checks. And you can charge a flat monthly or quarterly fee plus an upcharge on any work done. Now, all these services are great, but here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about scaling your business. This is where most co-hosts hit a wall. They get about 5 properties and suddenly feel overwhelmed with everything. But I'm going to show you exactly how to scale to 20 or 30 properties without losing your mind. The secret to scaling is systems and automation. First, you need to build your team in this exact order. Start with your cleaning team. Next is going to be your maintenance team, then your virtual assistant for guest communication. This person can then later become your portfolio manager. Each of these roles should pay for themselves through increased efficiency. But here's the key. You need systems for everything. Inside B&B Tribe, we've got complete standard operating procedures for team training, quality control, financial tracking, performance monitoring. Plus, we show you exactly how to use these automation tools to handle guest communication, team scheduling, financial reporting, performance tracking, everything you need. Now, as you scale, something magical happens. You start getting economies of scale. Your cost per property go down while your revenue per property stays the same or increases. This is when co-hosting becomes really profitable. But there is one more thing that you need to know about scaling. You need to stay focused on your target market. Don't try to branch out and be everything to everyone. Pick your niche and become the go-to manager for that type of property. So maybe it's luxury homes or downtown condos or family vacation rentals or corporate housing. Whatever you choose, become the expert in that niche. Now, I know I've covered a lot in this video, and if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, that's totally normal. Remember, I've been doing this for years and I've made all the mistakes so you don't have to. And again, that is exactly why I created B&B Tribe. Inside, you'll get complete templates for everything we covered in this video, plus step-by-step training videos, access to your community of successful hosts, weekly community calls with me personally, and over $4,000 in discounts and vendor perks. Plus, you'll join an amazing community of hosts and co-hosts who are all building successful businesses just like you. If you want to fast track your co-hosting business and avoid all the costly mistakes that most you'll make, click the link in the description down below and join B&B Tribe. It's just $49 per month and you can cancel anytime. The templates alone will save you hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars in trial and error. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Airbnb business tips. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.